talking about astrology is bullshit. You go watch the other two videos I got on my page. You know what I'm saying? If you a Virgo, please forgive this curtain. You know, on my other video I did about why I hate Virgos, they was talking shit about fucking curtain instead of listening to what the fuck I was saying. So if you are a Virgo, I would apologize. I'm not that I'm leaving like this intentionally, money. But so I want to talk about astrology is bullshit. I put out several videos before talking about astrology is bullshit, and they're like, mind you, you know, I've said you know, reasons why I think astrology is bullshit. Not necessarily that I don't think that the information is wrong. I just think a lot of the way that's applied and the way people view it is bullshit. So like overall, yeah, it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So for one, you know what I'm saying, a lot of astrologers prey on noobs. You know what I'm saying? So like with my channel, I've never really gone on here and try to like teach you what a sign really is. A lot of times I don't be like Pisces is this, Pisces is that. Like a lot of times what I do is share my experiences. Why I particularly hate these fucking signs. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why the fuck they piss me off and why I don't fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? I've always had that perspective on this channel because like, you know what I'm saying? The perspective I kind of have is my, people who follow my channel already kind of assume that you know my armor crash. So like, you know, I'm not going to condescend you or like, I don't like the, I never like that energy or like me sitting there trying to, you know what I'm saying, teach you per se a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times I just talk, you know what I'm saying, share my experiences. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of times people tell me I'm funny. I be like, how the fuck am I funny? Like, it legit confused me when people think I'm funny because I be like, yo, I'm not. I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying, real shit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, like, I guess real shit, or like from my perspective, coming out of me, you hear it, it may sound funny to you, but I be like, no, motherfucker, I'm dead ass serious. Like, you see what I'm saying? But, you know, the aspect of me, you know what I'm saying, sharing this experience with you to try to tell you this is what it is something it don't rest well on me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like it's the difference between like newbie astrology and then like advanced astrology. You know what I'm saying? So like when I first started coming out doing astrology videos, you know what I'm saying, a lot of motherfuckers was talking shit about like, you know what I'm saying, oh man, you gotta look at the sign, you gotta look at the moon, you can't just look at the sun sign, you gotta look at the moon, you gotta look at it, you know, they Mercury, they Mars, they Ascendant. I was like, man, fuck all that shit, motherfucker. Like I'm already assuming, like this is what a lot of people don't understand, like I already kinda assume that you already know that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? The shit I'm talking about is the shit I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? As far as experience of what I'm going through, you know what I'm saying? From that, you know what I'm saying? From that dynamic, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that this is the end all, you know what I'm saying? Way of looking at it per se. You know what I'm saying? You know, mind you, like, you know, it's times where like, you know, you get caught up in a moment, you know what I'm saying? And you kind of, you say, you know, you say, okay, yeah, this is what this is. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, shit, like, the way I prefer you look at it is like, I'm sharing you my experience. So when I tell you this is what it is, you know, even me as an Aquarius, like fucking Uranus rotate fucking vertically. You know what I'm saying? So if you like, I'm telling you this shit, this is what it is from my perspective. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's really more my perspective more so than gospel per se. Like I want you to take this shit and like, you know what I'm saying, worship me or look at me like I'm the motherfucker who coming at you with, you know what I'm saying, you need to fucking worship me. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times it'd be hard for me to watch these people channels and shit. You know what I'm saying? I be watching like astrologers and like, you know what I'm saying, the people who put out this information, you know what I'm saying, they had to look at it like data, like what they're telling you is the fucking is the end all. You know what I'm saying? And like I've never that's like an insult. You know what I'm saying? Like mind you, like everybody gotta start somewhere from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But like for me, like on my channel, it's like no, I would never try to do basic astrology and try to put myself in a position where I'm telling you like this is what this is and this is it's like hell no. Like I'm gonna tell you that passively, like in a bigger point, like trying to make my point from my perspective. You know what I'm saying? So like when you get on somebody's channel and they sit there telling you, okay, what is Pisces? Oh, Pisces is this and Pisces is that and Pisces this is like no, that's bullshit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like a big part of astrology, like you know what I'm saying, mind you, listen to like anything in marketing, you know what I'm saying, is that like they kind of preying on people who don't know. Like you know what I'm saying? If you don't know, you know what I'm saying, and I tell you that this is what it is, you're gonna think that that's what it is. Like you know what I'm saying, and be like, that ain't what the fuck it is. Cause like when you go out and have your own experiences, you're gonna be trying to line that shit up to what the fuck they told you. Like you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I haven't studied basic astrology in like so long that, you know, when I go back and look at basic astrology now, I kind of see how they be giving the information. A lot of times it'd be hard for me not to see it. It's like these motherfuckers is like spinning your ass, right? Yeah, intentionally or unintentionally. Because, you know, why would you want to put out that type of information like that? Like, you gotta really look at the intent of the astrology. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like why would you just jump on the internet and just start giving away secrets for free, for no money? And I'm telling you, like, this is what this is, this is what that is. It's like, okay, what is my intention in doing this? Why am I reading shit straight out of a book and then jumping online and telling you and put my face on some shit I read out of a fucking book? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? You like, and mind you, like, my viewers, like, I never, like, I've always kind of felt this way, but I've never verbalized this. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to put this in this video like this. And they're like, to remind my viewers every now and then, be like, yo, astrology is not the end all to everything. It's not. It's like, it's actually, like, even when you study Kabbalah, like, you learn what, like, Malkuth, like the Malkuth kingdom, which is like the really dot is the chamber behind Malkuth. You know what I'm saying? But like, when you first look at a Kabbalistic grid, you know what I'm saying, it's got the Sephiroths. You know, Malkuth is the end, that's the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? But then you got like dot, which ain't on that. Like, you know what I'm saying, you got to go through a transformation to get back to dot. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, you've even transcended the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? It's basically like death. You know what I'm saying? But like you died, but you didn't die. You know what I'm saying? You realize and whole spiritual truths without physically having to die. You know what I'm saying? So that's dot. So like, when you first study, you know, Kabbalah, you look at Malkuth, you looking at like, you know, this is the end. This is, you know, this is the end. When you first look at the first three Sephiroths, Keita, you know, was it Keita, Baina, it's like knowledge, wisdom, understanding. I forget exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? But I just know it's knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You know, people say that when you're a noob, when you first start studying this, you be like, yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. It's knowledge. Yeah, we need knowledge, we need wisdom, or we need understanding. It's just like, you thinking you know some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know, like, Joe, that's just the idea. That's not the full shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the real in here is from your perspective is Malkuth, but then you don't even see behind that is dot. So Malkuth, from dot perspective, Malkuth is like darkness described as light. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Malkuth, they be like, yeah, this is the kingdom, this is the goal, this is what you're trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? But then when you get there, you find out, like, no, you still gotta die. You know what I'm saying? And find out what that meant. So I'm saying, to really understand what the fuck that whole experience meant. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of times, even Mason, like Masonic and shit, they go 33rd degree. Mason didn't realize the whole time they be worshiping Lucifer and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait, what? Like, yeah, but we gonna give you the opportunity to still worship the real God. You know what I'm saying? But we had to walk you through all that because that's Lucifer. You're like, well, why the fuck would you do that? Well, because Lucifer is light too, but it's really like darkness described as light. You know what I'm saying? So you're like, well, for darkness disguised as light? Like, yeah, it come real close to the real thing, but it's not the same thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you look at it like a light, but it's different types of light. Like, this is what I'm like, you're saying this is light. You know what I'm saying? Most people talk light. You know what I'm saying? Or you like, you really think about what light is. You know what I'm saying? Light is, you think about like the spectrum of light. You know what I'm saying? It goes from like Roy G. Biv, like the rainbow. You know what I'm saying? Red, orange, yellow, blue, whatever. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Same shit on the chakras. You know what I'm saying? The 7 chakras. When you're looking at light, when you're talking about light hitting the chakras, light hitting the prism, you know what I'm saying, the range of light, the visible light. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so anything that falls in between this spectrum, I can, quote unquote, see these things. So that's quote unquote light. You know what I'm saying? But then you got like different types of light outside, like microwave, gamma wave, different types of light. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even the Predator, the way he saw light. You know what I'm saying? It was different type of light. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have certain situations where it's like darkness disguised as light. So how do you know what you're seeing is real light per se? And they're like, we only fall into a range of frequency we visualize as light. You know what I'm saying? So to have the somebody come to you and tell you, okay, yeah, this is light. You know what I'm saying? So you say, okay, well, this is light. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think this is light. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why astrologers kind of prey on that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? They don't like running to a motherfucker like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker who really break the shit all the way down. Like, you know what I'm saying? You be like, no, that's just what you doing is just describing. Like I said, it's different between like astrology and astronomy. There's two different things. Like, the actual application of the way that these fucking planets move. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way NASA study that shit ain't the same way like astrologers study that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you talking about light, the way that you see light versus like the expansion of like what light really is. Like, light is just like certain carved out section in a world full of darkness. Like, so as far as what we can actually visualize and what we can interact with. There's all type of other shit going on, all type of other electromagnetic frequencies going on outside of our fucking vision that we can't necessarily see that it's actually there. You know what I'm saying? But as far as what we can see is like, that's where our range is really at. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of you know, the way that the dynamic is set up with astrology, when you're talking about light, it's kind of like the aspect of this ain't real light per se, and it like, you know, as far as what we can see in our actual visual senses, you see what I'm saying, what we can actually interact with, you're going outside of those ranges, like, you see what I'm saying, to get light per se, like, you see what I'm saying, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna go outside of light to get light. So I hope you follow what I'm saying. So it's like, this is what we call them in Malkuth, saying darkness disguised as light. You know what I'm saying? So even when you go into dots, you learn that like you have to, like right now we're even going through the retrograde, like you get to a point where like even like Scorpio is kind of saying, it's like you get to a point where like you got to take everything you know and still treat that as one thought, and then bury that thought, and still come out of that a fully grown version of yourself. You know what I'm saying? So when you in astrology, when you looking at that as the end all, you see what I'm saying, you still kind of a noob in the whole universe of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's you still gotta have a breakthrough past the astrology level. You see what I'm saying? I found many types of breakthroughs past the astrology level. One of the things when I studied the kingdom, but you know what I'm saying, getting not, you know, a lot of times you talk about Christianity, people study that shit wrong. You know what I'm saying? They talk about blood, resurrection, which is all good things to study. You know what I'm saying? Morals, love. But like, it's like when I understood what the kingdom was, like the real kingdom, they tell you in Kabbalah, Malkuth is a kingdom. You know what I'm saying? So like, they had you thinking that like, okay, your kingdom, like you study astrology long enough, shit like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, yeah, this is a kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a king in my own fucking castle. I'm my own, you know what I'm saying? My name Malik. Malik mean king. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is the trick I went through my whole life. You know what I'm saying? People tell you, yeah, you a king, you a king. You know, I'm telling myself, I'm a king, I'm a king. I know this, I know that. I must be a fucking king. And you realize you get to a point, you know what I'm saying? It's something past that. You know what I'm saying? You know, same thing I was talking about in my other video, Netsack and Hold. Like, you know what I'm saying? The most average man look at Hold as the kingdom. The average woman look at Netsack as the kingdom. The average person don't even get to the real kingdom. They be stuck in Netsack and Hold, going through back and forth shit between, you know what I'm saying, the male and female dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of astrology shit like that, you see, they be trying to teach you how to deal with your other spouse and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? From your astrological perspective. Oh, you a water sign, so you want to deal with it this way, or you a Taurus, you want to deal with it this way. You know what I'm saying? They look at that like it's the end all, and it's like that's the actual answer. Like, yo, that still ain't the answer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because when you don't apply Netsack and Hold, you still a man and woman in these dynamics. You still have to get to your side, which is service to self over service to others. So you always got to put like Mr. Rogers or some shit like that. And they're like, listen, you always got to put, you know what I'm saying, service to others over service to self. You know what I'm saying? No matter what sign you in. You know what I'm saying? So it's always gonna be certain dynamic truths that will always surpass the astrology perspective. You know what I'm saying? But when you got those type of questions and motherfuckers put it in that type of dynamic, you can't look at that like as that's the end all, like that's the actual universal answer, because it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's always something more truth than that. You know what I'm saying? And if you operate off them principles, you got to remember that like a lot of times astrologers give information to like motherfuckers who knew, like knew this. You come in with brand new questions. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna get brand new answers. You get easy words for hard questions. You know what I'm saying? Me, I'm gonna give you, you know what I'm saying, hard answers for hard questions. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So I would never talk to my motherfucking to my subscription base like that, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? That shit's an insult. You know what I'm saying, to motherfuckers who follow your page. You sitting there like, you like, why the fuck would you sit there and give away free information like that on the goddamn internet? Like, I mean, you gotta ask, okay, where the fuck did you get this from? Why are you reading some shit and just giving this shit and channeling this shit for free, like with no, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is your intent? You know what I'm saying? A lot of times motherfuckers just be capping under the Astrology Act. Like, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers be out here just capping. Like, oh, I got the knowledge, I'm just, you gonna get money, and that's what I'm better than. And they just be like doing literally like witchcraft, what they call in Hebrew, they call it nakash, which is like by the way of the snake. You know what I'm saying? That like, you know, they speaking these things into existence. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then like the things that they learn, they try to speak this shit into existence. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that, like, you know what I'm saying, you still a noob in astrology. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, from a universal perspective, you still a noob. You know what I'm saying? Because you read the noob information. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the difference between like a good witch and a bad witch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody who just started doing this shit versus somebody who's been doing this shit for hella long. You know what I'm saying? And get lost all the way in the motherfucking witchcraft and thinking that the witchcraft is the end all. And then when they start getting old and they start realizing that like that shit don't be working no more. You know what I'm saying? It don't work as good as, you know what I'm saying, when you're young. Because when you be in tune with the stars and shit like that, the motherfuckers be sucking your kundalini energy dry so much that like by the time you old, they don't even want your ass no more, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? They sitting around just like motherfucking like the spirits be sitting around, like the demons be sitting around looking at motherfuckers just like how know what I'm saying, men be sitting around watching pornos and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a whole bunch of shit you can scroll through. You know what I'm saying? And you want to find the one that look the best and the one that actually turn you on. You know what I'm saying? By the time you old and shit, you be doing witchcraft and shit like that and shit like that. You be also scattered minds. You be so lost in this motherfucking world. The magic you be trying to do ain't gonna work no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? It worked better when you be young. And like, that's why you see like women with like OnlyFans and shit like that, motherfucking TikTok and shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? They witchcraft work. You get it's like fucking millions and millions of motherfuckers following that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because they young and they fucking sexy. They got the sex appeal. They can actually pull that shit off. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, the motherfuckers that they pulling in is noobs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a noob kind of aspect to that shit. That's why like a lot of older motherfuckers don't even fuck with TikTok or OnlyFans. They totally outside that whole fucking loop. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like the type of new shit that's coming through right now, you know what I'm saying, is all based on the aspect of the like in tarot they call it a fool card. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a mark. Like in the hood they call them motherfuckers marks or tricks and shit like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? You kind of got to be. It's like a tricking aspect with astrology. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where like motherfuckers is like, okay, this motherfucker don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, little do you know, the motherfucker telling you don't know either. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is what like in the Bible they call this shit Babylon, or like they call like the blind leading the blind type shit. Like, so especially when you start mixing religion and spirituality into it and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers think that the shit that they doing is what it is, and be like, yo, that ain't what the fuck it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, you know what I'm saying? You know, if you new to astrology, which you probably ain't, if you on this channel, you definitely ain't, you know what I'm saying? But like, if you is new to astrology, like, you know what I'm saying? Or even if you ain't, you know what I'm saying? You gotta really always look at the intent of the motherfucker telling you what the fuck it is they telling you. Like, so I'm saying, when you be clicking on these videos, you be up late night clicking around looking for truths and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Me, I'll go through fucking dozens and dozens and dozens of content. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't trust none of them motherfuckers who telling me shit. You know what I'm saying? Like Tupac say, man, you can't just look at the shit motherfuckers are saying. You gotta listen to what motherfuckers are saying and look at the intent and hold motherfuckers accountable what the fuck they saying and hold me accountable. The same exact shit Tupac said. Like, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers just be on the internet just grabbing their fucking phone when they be having a little moment and just fucking sitting there capping on the phone under the spirituality act, and you be sitting there like, yeah. And you be like, no, nigga, no. This nigga sitting there capping, man. Like, you don't get the fuck out of here, man. You come on my channel, you gonna get like the real fucking perspective. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why I ain't, you know, that's what my channel don't get. That's how it always be, man. Like, the motherfuckers who got the most followers, 9 times out of 10, be putting out the most dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, saying shit like Jesus didn't like crowds. You know what I'm saying? You go in the Bible. Christ, he didn't fuck with crowds. Like, you know what I'm saying? At one point, he turned around and asked the crowd. He was like, he said, man, why the fuck is y'all following me? Like, mind you, because like the first time Jesus was kicking, it was just him and his 12 disciples. He started doing this shit. Next thing you know, it's like hella crowds and crowds start coming. You go read this in the Bible. And like at one point, he was like, Joe, I don't, what the fuck is this? And they was like, Joe, like people want to get healed. People want to see what you do. And he was like, Joe, like, nah. And he turned to the crowd. He was like, Joe, why the fuck is y'all following me? You know what I'm saying? He even asked the disciples, he's like, Joe, why y'all follow? What the fuck? Like, this ain't what, he was like, Joe, this ain't even what this supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? But that's what they turned it into. You see what I'm saying? And like my channel the same way. Like, I ain't out here capping. Like, motherfucker, I'm out here. You hear the motherfucking guns? Oh no, them fireworks. I thought them were gunshots. But normally around this time, the sun start going down. You start hearing gunshots, motherfucking tires screeching, glass breaking, motherfucking. Like, you go on Godspeed Poe channel. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all subscribe to Poe channel, man. Godspeed TV. He just did a show today. It's ruthless as hell. It's called Havoc. You know what I'm saying? The sound of chaos. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know, when you watch that Hollywood shit, you know what I'm saying? The way they make them, oh, come here, gunshots, all that shit, the tire switching, that shit is all bullshit, nigga. Like you in Chicago, you get used to, you know, like Chicago, it be hard motherfuckers watch hood movies and shit now. You know what I'm saying? Because we know how that shit really sound, how that shit really sound. Come here, motherfucker. Like, we know how that shit really sound. You know what I'm saying? Poe just did a video talking about that shit called Havoc. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the sound of chaos. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, in Chicago, you know, you can't put no fucking fake Jordans next to no real Jordans. You can't put no fake diamond next to no real diamond. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know what I'm saying? A real diamond is rare. You know what I'm saying? Fake diamonds everywhere, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers go throw a little jewelry on and shit. And they got the little fake chain on and shit like that. The little fake Jordan to buy the little, you know. And then boom, they all of a sudden they're from a fucking star. They think they know I'm a star. Like nah, Joe. Like nah. You gotta have real substance. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have real substance. Like, you know, a lot of times motherfuckers use, you know, bling and like fucking, not bling, but like, what's the word, like flashy, you know, smoke and mirrors and shit like that, to like, you know, when a lot of times the more smoke and mirrors, the less substance. 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was just saying a video, motherfuckers was just talking about that shit, man. He was talking about like the reason astrology, I mean not astrology, Kabbalah, the reason Kabbalah is more secret than astrology. You know what I'm saying? Because You know what I'm saying? It's got more substance. You know what I'm saying? You can study astrology, you can't study Kabbalah like that. Even the chakras, motherfuckers don't know. Like motherfuckers sitting there studying astrology shit all day because you can look at male, female situations, love, all that shit, and apply. It's easy. It's harder to study Kabbalah. It's harder to study the seven chakras. It's harder to get them, cross into other languages and shit like that and getting a whole understanding and bring it over into this universe and apply it in real time in 3D and shit like that. You can't do that shit. It's harder. You know what I'm saying? So that's why Kabbalah is secret. And that, like, you know, the more razzle dazzle it is, you know what I'm saying? Not the lesser you need it, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? The harder it is, the harder the study it is, the more you're gonna need that shit. You know what I'm saying? This is for the same reason why motherfuckers don't study computer programming and shit like that. Like, you study astrology long enough, you should be able to same thing. You should be able to study coding and be able to go in and do coding on the goddamn internet and basically make these same programs. Back in the day, like MySpace, motherfucker had MySpace. You had to know coding damn near. Like, you had to copy the fucking code. You had to go on Google and learn what the fuck shit was and how to interact with it. But as soon as Facebook came in and Instagram and all that shit came in and did all that shit for you, motherfuckers just done their whole fucking thing. They whole part of their brain just fucking left. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and it's the same shit with astrology. Like, you know what I'm saying? Astrology easy, man. Astrology ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And like anybody who teaching you astrology 9 times out of 10, they preying on the fact that you don't know and they trying to feel good about themselves, the fact that they teach you that shit. You know what I'm saying? I would never do no shit like that on my fucking channel. Mike, I didn't even realize I was doing this. You know what I'm saying? So like it just kind of came to me like we in the retrograde. I started to look at like the shit I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing and shit like that. And like what's the difference between my channel and other channels and shit like. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put this video out there, let y'all know that like, it's deeper than like Rick Ross said, it's deeper than rap. You know what I'm saying? It's deeper than astrology. Like this channel is deeper than, I mean astrology. I say this shit a million times. I'm not an astrologist and I mean that shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of rappers out there talking too. I ain't a rapper and shit like that. Be like, no, like I ain't on that shit either. Like I'm telling you for real. Like I'm not a fucking astrologist at all. Like you know what I'm saying? It's deeper than astrology on this channel. You know what I'm saying? So I hope, you know what I'm saying? I hope you can, learn something from that. I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here. You know what I'm saying? I got the shit I gotta do. You? Yeah, lightning. It's fucking thunderstorm. It's gonna be a big one. You did.